Hello everyone. If I could write a letter to my 20-year-old self, I wouldn't fill it with warnings or instructions. I'd just share a few truths I've learned the hard way. Truths I wish someone had told me. Not to protect me from life, but to help me live it better. At 20, I thought life was a race, a timeline. Graduate by 21. Land a job by 22. Marry by 28. Success by 30. Retire a millionaire. I now know. Life is not a checklist series of choices, some good, some terrible, but all necessary. No one has it figured out. When you're 20, it's easy to believe that everyone else has a map, a clear path they're following, and you're the only one lost without a compass. You look around, and it seems like your classmates already know what they want to be. Some are prepping for a PSC, some have already cracked interviews, some are applying to Ivy League colleges. You start wondering, why don't I feel that clarity? That doubt eats at you silently. But the truth is, most people are just pretending. They're projecting confidence on the outside while battling the same confusion you're facing. They don't have it figured out either. They just got better at hiding it. The deeper I went into life, jobs, startups, relationships, failures, the more I realized that even the most successful people don't have a master plan. They are just navigating one decision at a time, adjusting as they go. Think about this. How could someone at 20, who's barely lived a quarter of their life, possibly know what they'll want at 40? You're still learning who you are, your preferences, your values, your version of success. They're all under construction. Yet society trains us to act like we should know it all already. That pressure to appear as sorted is one of the biggest scams out there. I remember meeting a startup founder once, someone who had raised millions and was in the media often. I expected him to have a 10-year vision, a 5-year roadmap. Instead, he told me, every quarter we just try not to die. That's it. It shocked me. Not because he was clueless, but because he was honest. That honesty gave me permission to stop faking certainty in my own life. The illusion that others have it all together creates a vicious loop. You feel insecure, so you try to look confident. Others see that and feel insecure, so they do the same. Everyone's faking it, and no one's being real. The moment you break that loop by admitting, I don't know either, it actually builds trust. Vulnerability creates connection, far more than pretending does. It's okay to say, I don't know. It's not weakness, it's honesty. It's honesty. And honesty is the beginning of self-awareness, the most powerful skill you can develop in your 20s. Because when you accept that you don't have it figured out, you also free yourself from the burden of pretending. That space, that lightness, lets you explore with curiosity instead of anxiety. Here's the funny part. The people who eventually figure it out are usually the ones who first admitted they didn't. They tried things, failed, switched, rebuilt. And in doing that, they discovered what fits. It's not clarity that leads to action. It's action that leads to clarity. Sitting and thinking your way to the perfect plan never works. Living your way into it, that's where the magic happens. So if you feel lost at 20, good. That means you're not stuck in someone else's blueprint. It means you're open. You're questioning. You're growing. That's not failure. That's freedom. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's the path to it. When we're young, we're taught to fear failure. From school exams to job interviews, we're conditioned to see success as winning and failure as losing. This binary mindset traps us. But we start believing that if we fail, it means something is wrong with us. That we're not good enough, not smart enough, not capable enough. But that's not how life works. In the real world, failure isn't a signal to stop. It's feedback. It's feedback. It's data. It's data. It's direction. The people we admire, the authors, founders, athletes, creators, they didn't get it right the first time, or the second, or the fifth, but they showed up again and again. The difference between them and the rest isn't luck or talent. It's the ability to keep going after things go wrong. They don't treat failure as a verdict. They treat it as part of the process. I remember my first startup pitch. I thought it was brilliant. I had slides, numbers, projections, the works. I pitched to an investor, and within 5 minutes, he stopped me and said, "This isn't going to work. You're solving a problem no one has." I walked out feeling humiliated. But looking back, that moment taught me more than any YouTube video or book ever could. It taught me how to listen, how to test assumptions, how to stay humble. That a failure gave me a better foundation than success ever would have. We often think success is about doing everything right. But actually, It's about doing things wrong, learning fast, and improving faster. The path to success is messy. It includes detours, dead ends, and wrong turns. But each of those missteps teaches you something. And if you're willing to learn, you keep moving forward. Slowly, yes, but forward nonetheless. Failure also teaches resilience. You learn to separate outcomes from identity. Just because your idea failed doesn't mean you are failure. That distinction is crucial because the moment you internalize failure, the moment you attach it to your work, you stop taking risks, you play safe. And playing safe might protect your ego, but it limits your potential. There's a story I once heard about a pottery teacher who split his class into two groups. One group was graded on the quantity of pots they made, the other on quality. The quantity group made hundreds of pots and kept improving. The quality group, trying to get it perfect, made only a few. Guess who ended up making better pots in the end? The group that failed more because they tried more. That's how mastery works. Through repetition, experimentation, and yes, failure. This is the best time to try things and fail publicly because the learnings will compound. Every failed project, relationship, job, they don't erase progress. They are the progress. You are collecting experiences, insights, and skills that will make your future decisions sharper. So instead of asking, what if I fail? Try asking, what will I learn if I do? That mindset shift is subtle but powerful. It turns fear into fuel. And once you stop fearing failure, you start playing a much bigger game that it's okay to change your mind. At 20, it feels like every decision you make is final. You pick a course, a college, a career path, and suddenly it feels like a contract. Like you've signed something you can't back out of. People start asking, so what are you planning to do? And you feel the pressure to give a confident, clear answer. But here's something no one tells you. It's perfectly normal to change your mind. In fact, it's healthy. The world around you is changing rapidly. New industries are being born, old ones are becoming irrelevant, and technology is rewriting the rules of work and creativity, yes. If the world is evolving, why wouldn't your goals, interests, and beliefs evolve too? Holding on to a decision just because you made it when you were younger doesn't make you loyal. It makes you stuck. We tend to romanticize consistency. We think that once we say we want to become a doctor, an engineer, a designer, or a founder, but sticking with something you no longer resonate with isn't strength. It's fear. Fear of judgment, fear of wasting time, fear of starting over. Ironically, those fears waste even more time. There's no pride in climbing a ladder that's leaning against the wrong wall. I once met someone who had studied law for 5 years. At 26, they realized they hated the legal profession. They were terrified to quit, not because they loved the job, but because they didn't want to disappoint their parents. But eventually, they'd quit. They took up writing. Today, they're a full-time author. And you know what they said? Leaving law wasn't the hard part. Forgiving myself for changing my mind. That was the real work. You're allowed to change your interests. You're allowed to shift careers. You're allowed to have people, cities, goals, and even dreams. This doesn't mean you're flaky. It means you're growing. It means you're paying attention. The alternative, pretending to love something just to maintain an image, is far worse. It leads to resentment, burnout, and a life that doesn't feel like your own. One of the reasons people resist change is because they've invested time, energy, and identity into a path. It's called the sunk cost fallacy. We think, I've already spent 3 years on this. I can just quit now. But continuing down the wrong path won't get those years back. It'll just steal more from your future. Sometimes the smartest move is to cut your losses and redirect. Changing your mind also means you're listening to your gut, your experiences, your reality. Most people are so busy defending their decisions that they forget to ask, is this still working for me? The truth is, the world rewards clarity, but clarity often comes after confusion, not before it. You figure things out by experimenting, not by sticking stubbornly to outdated plans. So the next time you feel like you want something different, a new career, a new environment, a new version of yourself, don't silence that voice. Don't bury it under guilt or fear. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. And the sooner you honor that wisdom, the more aligned your life will feel. Your degree is not your destiny. When you're 20, your degree feels like your identity. People don't ask who you are. They ask, what are you studying? And the moment you answer, engineering, commerce, medicine, psychology, You're slotted into a box. Expectations get built around that label. You begin to believe that your entire future is supposed to align with this one academic choice you made when you were barely out of school. But here's something I wish someone had told me clearly. Your degree is just a starting point, not a life sentence. It's a door, not a cage. You're not stuck. You can pivot, grow, reinvent. The world outside college doesn't care half as much about what you studied as you think. It cares about what you can do, about your skills, your curiosity, your ability to adapt and solve problems, not the title on your graduation certificate. The education system, especially in countries like India, tends to box you in early. At 16, you're made to choose between science, commerce, or arts, as if that one decision will define the rest of your life. But when you step into the real world, you start meeting engineers who are writers, MBA who are stand up comedians, doctors who become entrepreneurs. And you realize people switch lanes all the time. I know someone who did a B. Tech from a top university, got placed in a corporate job, and left it 2 years later to start a podcast. Today, he runs a media company. When I asked him if he regrets doing engineering, he said, Not at all. It taught me how to think. But it was never the final goal. It was the phase. That changed the way I thought about education. It's not about using your degree forever. It's about using the skills you built along the way. The discipline, the work ethic, the exposure. The trap is believing that changing direction means wasting your degree. But it's not a waste. Nothing is wasted if you learn something from it. Even if you never use the specifics of what you studied, the experience shapes how you think, how you solve problems, how you approach the unknown. That's what matters more in life. The meta skills, not just the content. We live in a time where careers are fluid. People will have multiple roles, sometimes in entirely different industries, across their lifetime. In a world like that, flexibility matters more than titles. Self-learning is more valuable than formal education. The hunger to grow, to pick up new skills, explore new paths, is far more important than staying rigidly committed to a degree you chose years ago. But I understand why the pressure exists. Our families often invest emotionally and financially in our education. There's a sense of guilt when you don't follow the expected path. But here's the truth. Your parents want you to be secure and happy, and neither of those things are guaranteed just because you stayed in a career that matches your degree. In fact, staying in the wrong career, out of guilt, is a fast track to long-term resentment. So give yourself permission to step beyond your degree. It doesn't define your worth. It doesn't predict your future. You are more than a label on a resume. Your destiny is something you build through courage, exploration, and a willingness to walk a path no one assigned to you. Time is more valuable than money. When you're 20, money feels like the most important thing in the world. And it makes sense. We come from a system where financial security is seen as the ultimate goal. We measure progress in salaries, packages, and promotions. We admire people who earn a lot, and we chase opportunities that pay more, even if we don't love what we're doing. But what most of us don't realize until much later is this. Money can be earned back. Time can't. You can lose rupee 10,000 and earn it again. You can make a bad investment and recover in a few years. But the time you spend stuck in a job you hate, in meetings that drain you, in relationships that hold you back, every day you spend unhappy is a day you don't get to redo. We obsess over return on investment, but rarely ask ourselves, what's the return on my time? At 20, we feel like we have a surplus of time. We think we're just getting started, and we are. But that's exactly why we should be more careful with how we use our hours. Most people spend the first half of their lives trading time for money, and the second half trying to buy back that lost time with the money they earn. It's a broken model, and the earlier you recognize it, the better choices you'll make. Time is the currency of life. Of life. Every decision you make has a time cost. When you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. So be intentional. Spend time with people who energize you. Work on problems that challenge you. Build things that matter. Don't give your best hours away just because something appears well. Ask yourself, is this how I want to spend the only life I have? There's a reason the richest people in the world hire others to save them time. Personal assistants, housekeepers, drivers, because they understand that time is the one resource that can't be manufactured. The goal is not just to earn money, it's to earn freedom. Freedom to wake up without dread. Freedom to choose your projects, your partners, your pace. And that kind of freedom comes when you protect your time like it's sacred. Because it is. One of the best things you can do in your 20s is to treat time like an investment. Where are you spending it? What habits are you building? Who are you becoming while you wait for a success? Just like investing rupee 1000 a month today will give you more than investing rupee 5000 a month 10 years from now. Small intentional choices now will shape your life far more than big dramatic changes later. The problem is we often waste time because we think it's infinite. We scroll for hours, hang out with people who drain us, take up jobs we hate, and tell ourselves we'll figure it out later. But a later is a myth. Your future is just a collection of hours. If you're careless with your time today, you'll end up with a life full of regret tomorrow. Not because you failed, but because you didn't choose. So start treating your time with the respect it deserves. Learn to say no. Learn to pause. Learn to ask yourself, is this worth an hour of my life that I will never get back? Because once you understand that time is more valuable than money, you'll stop chasing things that don't matter and start living a life that does.